This is a video of Douglas Murray talking about Iran's attempted terror plot in the United Kingdom.
Staying in the UK, an extraordinary story is unfolding there with revelations that an Iranian terror attack was just hours away from being launched on British soil before it was foiled by counterterrorism officers. British police arrested 8 people, including 7 Iranian nationals, on suspicion of terrorism offences. The UK Telegraph reports that authorities feared the attacks on a specific premises was imminent, and there is speculation, Douglas, that the target may have been a synagogue or another target linked to the Jewish community. This is, Douglas, certainly a frightening development.
It is very frightening, but sadly not surprising. Iranian terrorists have targeted people in a bewildering array of countries by now. They, of course, famously carried out bombings of Jewish community centers in South America some years ago, in New York City, in Brooklyn and elsewhere. Iranian government assassins tried to kill, again, just a year or two ago, a very brave Iranian exile who is critical of the regime. They tried to kill this young woman. In America, the Iranian government's most prominent media outlet boasts about this. Just the other week, as I wrote in the Post the other day, just the other week, the editor of one of the main organs of the Iranian revolutionary government, who has the ear of the supreme leader and is generally regarded as being a spokesman for him, said that it was still the intention of the Iranian government to put a bullet in the skull of President Trump. And he said, hopefully that day will arrive soon. It is amazing. We'll wait and see what unfolds in the UK about this terror cell and its prospective targets. But I don't think anyone should be that surprised by it. Iran has been pumping terrorists, obviously, around the region it's in. But the revolutionary government's also been trying to carry out assassinations with impunity in America, in other countries, for years now. I do wonder when we'll start to take them seriously and actually do anything in response.
You know, I was going through some of the comment sections on Instagram and other social media platforms when they were looking at the footage coming out of the UK when they were able to stop this attack from happening. There were people commenting, saying, what a shame, how could they do this, invasion of privacy, they didn't do anything wrong, how could these security forces go into their backyard, they didn't have the permission, this is going on to private, all of these just obscene claims, excusing anything that they do. It doesn't matter how much proof or evidence, anything that is from Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, domestic groups, international groups, anything that they do can go. They could butcher somebody in broad daylight in London, and there would be people excusing it in person and online. It's baffling to me, people. It's baffling to me. You've never seen an international community towards any other ethnic minority group in the world find any juice left in the tank of excuses, of justification, of that's okay. Because this is what their mission is, that's okay. For anyone else, it wouldn't be okay, but for the Jews, for Israel, it's okay. I made a video yesterday because about Miss Rachel, who's, to my knowledge, the biggest online, not just YouTuber, but the biggest online educational platform for children. She teaches them how to, the ABCs, colors, 1, 2, 3, fun things, shapes. It's for infants, it's for babies, and newborns, etc. And she has amassed herself, I would say collectively, billions of views. I mean, she's got tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people who are subscribed and following her platform across various social media platforms. She's the largest. Her name is Miss Rachel. And she has been posting a lot more recently about what is happening in Gaza to the children. She was on Mehdi Hassan's podcast for Zatio very recently, and we all know who Mehdi Hassan is. He's just extremely, extremely anti-Israel, and has built himself an incredibly profound propaganda machine. He's even the author of How to Win a Debate, and I just think that he is he's intelligent when it comes to being able to shift perspectives and influence people. It's pretty impressive, but he's influencing things that just aren't true. And I would say my video, which I put up yesterday, this was recorded on May 19th, was a 12-minute monologue, should I say, that I had towards Miss Rachel about how uninformed she is when it comes to the Middle East, and how getting on these public platforms is just enabling groups like the IRGC and Hamas and Hezbollah, because they're the ones that enabled her. There's no doubt in my mind, and you can go and watch my video, there's no doubt in my mind that if you just take a deeper look into the timing of when Miss Rachel has decided to speak up, since the 7th of October, where she has claimed in the interview with Mehdi Hassan, I've watched portions of it and I've quoted her, that she said silence was not an option for me. And it's just so interesting to me that her silence was just so evident until the 7th of October. But then suddenly, when it's so popular to talk about Israel, to talk about the Jews, to talk about the Middle East, Israel, Palestine, when everybody, it's their popular thing to talk about, it's trendy. Suddenly somebody like her, who has spent her whole career, she has her master's degree in music and education, and now she's getting her second master's degree in childhood education from NYU. Like somebody like her who has just spent her whole life on how to enable good, healthy education and parenting for young kids, doesn't see and read between the lines of what is going on when it comes to the culture of the Middle East. She has this example of a Palestinian family of this little girl, I'm drawing a blank on her name, who she actually met. She was, her mom and her, I guess, came to the United States. She had lost her leg during the war, and it's very hard. It's very sad to see, and it's very tragic. And she talks about the footage. She talks about the footage that she saw on the 7th after the 7th of October. And Mehdi even asked her, what was your feeling? What did you think when you were starting to see the footage after the 7th of October? And she strictly talked about the footage coming out of the Gaza Strip after the 7th of October, but he never even asked her, what did you think about the footage of the 7th of October? No mention of the attack, no mention of that, no mention of why, no mention of how, no mention of history, just mention of the overly emotional state. And I've talked about this for 18 months at this point. And she does not have a lick of an idea of what culture is like back in not just Gaza, but the West Bank, where I was yesterday, where I spent time with an IDF colonel lieutenant who showed me pictures of his team going into different houses inside of the West Bank, just trying to get rid of terrorists, protecting the civilians in the household, showing me pictures of how the fathers who are the terrorists hide their guns in their own infant's baby crib, who showed me the books that are in the children's room bookshelf, or the schools or the kindergartens or the elementary schools, showing me what's written in Arabic. And he translated it for me because he had someone with us to translate from Arabic to English what it says and what they're required to say every single morning when they walk into school, which is that every single morning IDF terrorists, soldiers, kill Palestinians and rape Palestinian women. These kids are required to say this, while they obviously are walking into school at 8:30 in the morning before they get to class to sit down, stepping on an Israeli flag that is beneath the stair step to go into the school to make sure that they're stepping on Israel. She doesn't know any of this stuff. And when she talks about parenting and the importance of, kids, I also agree that what's happening to the kids and to the children, to everybody, that young population inside of the Gaza Strip, is tragic and awful. And I would be immoral by not acknowledging that, but I am willing to acknowledge that. What I'm not willing to be okay with is how Miss Rachel, with her incredible reach and influence, does not acknowledge what her misunderstanding is of culture here, culture of hate, how these children are raised, what they're taught to think and say and feel and do. That the same 7-year-olds that I just talked about who are actually saying these things in Arabic when they wake up are also being told outside after, they finish school at recess, that they're going to shooting practice, shooting targets of Jews with big noses that look like religious figures, told that they're going to go into Israel and break the border fence to go kill people who look like them when they're older. Because that's what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be a shaheed. They're supposed to be a martyr. And that's a religious deed. And if they die and that these mothers actually celebrate, they don't mourn. Miss Rachel doesn't know any of that. And the reason I'm saying all this is to you because she is one of the people, the cream of the crop in her own industry, who has incredible reach and influence and can change the minds of people just by speaking. And she doesn't need to know this perspective that I'm saying because she's not going to know it. Mehdi Hassan's not going to talk about it. The mother that's from the Gaza Strip or the West Bank, they're not going to come there and tell them what it's actually really like. Of course they're not. Why would they ever fold their card in their deck like that? But she doesn't know this. And she's talking about children and how it's so awful. And you know what's interesting is I do know that she did post about Kfir Bibas back during the war. But my problem is just because she posted about it does not mean that she knows. I don't know if she really knows what happened that morning. I don't know if she really knows what they did to that family back in Gaza. I don't know if she really knows what the ceremony parade was like when they carried the bodies in coffins of that family, minus Shiri, because they actually mistakenly handed back a Palestinian woman, with families watching from the top like it was like an amphitheater, throwing candy, playing music, live streamed, with the Red Cross there. A dead 10-month-old and his brother Ariel. The 10-month-old didn't even live a day to see the YouTube channel that Miss Rachel has. Does she know about this? And I find it so telling if she doesn't. I find that so interesting. And it's so dangerous when you have, and by the way, the Qatar propaganda machine, the Qatar like how they infiltrate the biggest influences, the biggest voices in the world in respective niches, whether it's education or music or fashion or art. They find them, they get them, they make them believe what their narrative is, and then they have them incentivized, they have them speak about it. That is the modern form of indoctrination for the West through social media, through propaganda, and it is so scary. I have invited Miss Rachel on my own dime to come to Israel. I will take her around. I'll show her the kindergartens. I'll show her the schools. I'll show her the textbooks. I'll show her the curriculum. I'll make sure that she meets with mothers and fathers, both on the border, in the north and the south, everything, west and east and in between. I'll make sure that she meets with people from the right and from the left. I'll make sure that she meets Jews and Arabs and Christians and every person that lives here, every kind of person that lives here. I'll make sure of it. I'm a basketball coach. I'm not an IDF personnel. I'm not an agent. I'm not Mossad. I'm not a geopolitician. I'm not an analyst. I'm a basketball coach who has done his due diligence to speak to people from both sides of this conversation to actually then form an opinion based on facts and knowledge and experience and conversations. She hasn't actually had the opportunity to do that. And I would find it so fascinating to see part 2 with Mehdi Hassan after she had done a visit like that to Israel. And you know what? Then she's going to say, well, if you come to Israel, you're going to indoctrinate me. No. Come to Israel. I'll show you around. Not a tour guide who's going to indoctrinate you. And then I'm going to encourage you, go to Gaza. Have them invite you. Have them show you their curriculum, their textbook. Ask the kids and make sure that there's a translator there from Arabic to English. Ask the kids what they're told to say when they go to school every single day. Ask them why there's Mein Kampf in the classroom. Ask them why there's an Israeli flag outside on the pavement at every entrance. Ask them why dad is hiding a gun in the baby crib. Ask them. Don't get fed these lies. And so when we see a preventative attack like this in the UK, you literally have people in the comment sections who are upset with the idea that this was prevented. And you know what? The cycle just continues to go around because Miss Rachel, I'm not saying she's speaking directly to the people who were trying to take out this attack in the UK, but it's all the same. Because maybe that person in the UK was infiltrated mentally by someone else from Iran. To sit here and say it would be incredible naivete deplored on everyone, to sit here and say that there is no incentive for Miss Rachel to do what she's done the past 18 months would be absurd. I'm talking to you about a financial incentive, and I'm talking to you about something that would absolutely benefit her, because if silence wasn't an issue for you, Miss Rachel, then where was this before the 7th of October? There has been incredible amounts of footage, videos, pictures, testimonies, and proof of violence in the Middle East between Israel and Palestine way before October 7th that you have had access to. Don't tell me that this is the first time in your life you've heard about the Middle Eastern conflict between Israel and Palestine. You've had this forever. And this problem predates your existence and my existence. So don't tell me that suddenly now it's the first time it hit your desk in the morning. That's why I think it's a bluff. That's why I think it's baloney. It's absolute baloney to see people in the comment sections of the UK preventing a terrorist attack, that any terrorist attack that's prevented is a good terrorist attack to be prevented. It's unbelievable. My rant is over. Thank you so much for all your support. I'll see you next video. If you want to continue the conversation, you can support my work for free. Discord does not cost a thing. It is the best way to connect with me and others who are seeking the truth. The link is in the description. But if you want to take it one step further, my Patreon gives you access to the Israel you don't see, uncovering the untold stories of what mainstream media does not show you. The link is in the description, and it helps me to continue this work. Or if you're just looking to help this thing go, PayPal and buy me a coffee is a really easy way to support me. This channel, this work does not happen without all of you. Thank you. I love you. I'll see you next time.